Quie Iesu Domine, dona eis requiem.
Well, happy Saturday. You heard the siren, so you know the warning. So if you don't like political talk, don't listen to this podcast. But let's turn that down just a little bit. It's just an instrumental. Those of you of my generation will know the song. Those of you who don't, you have to look up REO Speedwagon. You remember 4 years ago, one of the biggest concerns as we were approaching these debates, and it was talked about in the media and became actually a question, I think, from the Democratic candidate at the time. Would President Trump accept the results of this election? And he didn't answer it clearly. I think he said, we'll see. And it was like, oh, he's not going to accept the results of the election. That is terrible. I don't want to hear this version. Terrible. Shut that off. It's supposed to be instrumental. Can't trust YouTube. Anyway, I don't want to hear some karaoke guy singing it. I'll listen to REO Speedwagon singing Riding the Storm Out. Not that guy. Anyway, it's interesting how 4 years have reversed it. Now, the Democrats, along with social media, big tech, and mainstream media, have all basically said there's no way they're going to accept the results election day. That November 4th, they will refuse to accept the results. They made that very clear. Isn't that amazing how much has changed in 4 years? That's because going into the election 4 years ago, they were certain they were going to slaughter the Republican candidate. I still remember one of the news threads election day that there was a 90% probability that the Democratic candidate was going to win. It was going to be of epic proportions. Not a landslide, but big. And surprise, she didn't. I still smile to this day because she and her rabid followers still can't accept the results of the last election and have wasted 4 years on hatred and bitterness. So, God bless them and God help them. But not this year. Now we're not going to accept the results of the election. I think even big tech has made it clear that if the president was to declare victory that night or the next day because of an overwhelming electoral college landslide or voting, they're not going to accept it. And their mantra will be, not until all votes are counted. And they'll harp on that. And it's interesting. These are the same group of people that have been blocking voter ID for decades. I can remember hearing about voter ID 20 years ago. And that is how stymied it has been. I don't understand why the Republicans aren't pushing for it. In every state where they're the dominant, they should be pushing for it. And we all know voter ID is needed most in the cities where there's the most massive amount of fraud. That all the areas seeing peaceful protests destroy local businesses are also the same areas that are notorious for voter fraud. Everybody on the political spectrum jokes about Chicago voting. That even goes back into some of the cartoons from Warner Brothers. They joked, I think there's a Bugs Bunny cartoon where they joke about Chicago voting. I'd have to go look it up, but I seem to remember that. The idea that the dead voted in their elections. And then other frauds. So no, what we're going to see now is a mantra of not until all votes are counted. because they cannot accept the fact that they may have lost yet again. And I'm hoping it is a massive landslide. I hope the pro-life forces take back the House and strengthen the Senate. God bless you. Happy Saturday, everybody. And pray for our nation.